Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Can you guys confirm me that you can see my screen and can hear my voice? Amazing, thanks. All right, let's start. So first of all, thanks everybody for your interest in joining this course preview webinar about project cycle management. I am Cosimo Verrusio and I am the trainer of this session, and I will be also the trainer for the entire course. So again, thanks for your interest in this course. Today we are going to see in an hour from 6 to 7 p.m. the basically the agenda and what expect is from this course. In let's say in details, let's try at least because we have many things to talk about it, and I will try to be concise and to have, let's say, 10 minutes at the end of this session for the questions and comments or any feedback that you may have. First, this is Cosimo Verruso. As I said, I am the Training and Protection Coordinator at INTERSOS Italy Mission, and this is the fourth year that we organize this course about project cycle management in humanitarian context. I wanted to share with you guys a couple of, let's say, basic information. So this course is meant to be a practical course. So it is true that we will have, let's say, during the 4 days, short block of theories and let's say analysis of theoretical aspects. But most importantly for us, for INTERSOS, is to provide the participants to the classes with, let's say, skills, but also tools, practical tools that people can use in their practical job and in their daily experience. So we will try always to bring the theory and all the theoretical aspects to what we have to do when we are on the field. So the agenda for the day for today is first of all, why PCM, why we're going to have this course, which are the objectives, the learning outcomes, meaning what we are going to learn at the end of the 4 days. Then we will try to, let's say, talk about the 4 days. So we're going to have a deep dive into the 4 days of the training, understanding the agenda of each day. As you see on the online website of INTERSOS, there is already the program, but here we're going to discuss better some sessions. We're going to talk about the methods of the course, meaning practical exercises and case teasers, talking about real scenarios. I will bring as much as possible practical examples directly from the field. Then we're going to talk about the format, the dates, the price, the logistics, and the last 10 minutes, as I said, is for Q&A, so for your questions, for your curiosities, or any kind of comment that you may have. And the next step. So let's start. Who is this course for? So guys, this course is for, let's say, aspiring and early career officers or students or career switchers that are trying to understand which is project cycle management in a humanitarian context. This means that you may have already experience on the field. Let's say maybe you are, I don't know your profiles, you may be staff that is already working with an organization, with an NGO, with UN staff, or just a student which has just finished the university and wanna understand more practical aspects related to project management in a humanitarian settings. Well, this course is basically for you guys, for people that are trying to understand concretely, practically speaking, how does the project management work in a humanitarian setting, aligning, of course, with the standards, with the tools, and trying also to be again practical, as practical as possible. You will hear in this webinar a lot of time the word practical because this is what makes the difference in this course between, let's say, this course and the others. The fact that at the end of the 4 days courses, we want to provide you with a package of tools and skills and competencies that you can apply to the real world, meaning that the theory is there, we are going to discuss about that, but also with the theory we have to discuss about the practice, because otherwise we may lose sometimes the purpose of our work. So this is the approach of the course, but this reflects also the approach of INTERSOS, which is an international organization which is active on the front line when it comes to humanitarian crisis worldwide. Why is it PCM and why now? So, why PCM? Because it is important when the organization, the mission, arrives in a country where there is a crisis, it is extremely important to reduce gaps, to avoid duplication, and do not do harm. What does this mean concretely? That with the skills and the competencies that you will gain through this course, you will basically be able to understand how, in a specific context, we have to reduce the gaps, meaning that if we are working in Libya in a certain area, we must coordinate with the other actors and try to avoid gaps, meaning areas which are not served by our services. Or at the same time, we have to avoid duplication, meaning that in that area, we have to be cautious and attentive that our activities are not already done by someone else and do not do harm. Our principles, of course, are those enshrined in the Red Cross and are the fundamental of our work. So PCM will try to provide us with the tools, with a guidance to reduce gaps, avoid duplication, and avoid doing harm. The coordination is fundamental. Sometimes, guys, during the course, I will try, of course, to provide you, as I said, with practical examples, because you need to understand concretely what will happen once you are deployed on the field. And sometimes the theory is written, is sound and clear, but then in the practical life, with strict priorities and deadlines, it's extremely difficult to prioritize, and and to to prioritize and also to have a smooth implementation of the activities. Therefore, the coordination is fundamental. This is why one session of the webinar of the course, sorry, will be dedicated entirely to coordination, because we need to understand when we arrive in Ukraine, when we arrive in Libya, in Iraq, or in any other country, how does the system work. For this reason, we are going to discuss about HPC, the humanitarian program cycle within the cluster approach, because the infrastructure, the architecture of the coordination system is complicated, is not streamlined, and you need to also understand, as future program project managers or coordinators, how does this work, because most of the time of a project manager is spent in meetings, coordinating, talking to other actors, to other stakeholders. And how does this happen? Within the clusters. So let's say that I am an organization providing support to children, protection to children, or providing activities aiming at preventing and responding at gender-based violence. But at the same time, I'm also doing activities related to nutrition or hygiene or health or sanitation. You see, all of these aspects, all of these topics are linked to clusters. So we need to to know, to better understand how this system work in order to coordinate and avoid duplication, gaps, and doing harm. This is why PCM, but also because we need to understand tools. We need to work with tools such as logframes, budgets, work plans that we need to build and we need to defend. So we must be very, let's say, very careful when we design log frames and budgets and workplan, because that's our suitcase, you know. Those are our tools. Every donor has its specific templates and formats. Therefore, it's not that easy to navigate to all this complexity, let's say. Um, in some specific sessions, we are going to discuss about these tools, these specific tools, so that towards the end, let's say, of the course, we will be able to build our own project, because one of the main output of the course will be the design and the design and the analysis of a case scenario, of a project proposal. So together with the other participants, we will divide in groups and carry out different exercises in order to design in the very last day of the course, in the fourth day, a project proposal that will then be discussed with me and with other colleagues to see how we did the job. And eventually, we are going to talk about scenarios, as I said, true cases scenarios. We will focus on Ukraine and Libya, but not only, because I will provide the main examples also from other countries, but of course, these two countries, Ukraine and Libya, are not there by chance, let's say by any reason behind. There is a specific, of course, discussion that we're going to do throughout the entire course, where we're going to focus on, of course, humanitarian settings, but also to those which are called chronic emergencies, such as Libya, such as Iraq, where the situation is different also in terms of project management. So this is why project management is important, because uh, the approach, the methodology, let's say, is the same, but then it is applied in many different ways. And the humanitarian settings, it is applied according to specific standards that we have to know, that we must know. The learning outcomes of the course will be that at the end you will be able to explain what is a humanitarian project. So how does it fit within the humanitarian program cycle? So this means that we're going to discuss and define humanitarian project, how they feed within the larger structure of the humanitarian program cycle. So talking about the difference between project and program, we will be able to analyze context. Uh, Okay, here I want to be, let's say, practical and also realistic, because analyzing a context is extremely difficult, is extremely challenging. We will need many resources to do that. But let's say that during the training course, we're going to see with which methodologies we're going to do that, which tools, and in which ways. Because when we talk about context, we do not only talk about the humanitarian context, but we also talk about the historical context in that specific country. We are going to talk also about the political context, the sociological context, because all of this is extremely important. When we design our project, when we are there with our tools, with our teams, with our screens, writing our project proposal, we need to stay focused and take account of every single aspect of that context. The linguistic aspect also. For example, me myself at the university, I studied languages. I got like specialized in Arabic languages and especially in some dialects. So that helped me in a certain way. That helped me a lot, because when I arrived in the countries I've worked with, I remember I could understand the language of the communities in that specific country. Context analysis means a lot of activities such as interviews, focus group discussions, data review, meaning that I take all the literature available on that specific context and I study. So knowing the language is important, is extremely important, because it allows you to access some sources that are otherwise yes, you will get the translation, but it's not the same. So we are going to understand how to analyze the context, and we will be able to analyze the needs, and that's a key word, because how do we inform the objectives of our project? How do we do that? We do that with protection needs assessment, but also with other kinds of needs assessment. All the analysis that we carry out at the end will inform, will contribute to develop the project objectives, and also our targeting, also the vulnerable groups that we want to support. So this means that basically also according to the priorities, to the funds which are available in that moment, to the vulnerabilities, many discussions, according to many discussions, and according to our expertise, we are going to target a specific group of communities. And targeting is extremely difficult because you have to understand the context, you have to understand the historical, sociological, linguistical context, but also the communities. And one of the key, I will say, of the key aspects, of the most important aspects is not to have the top-down approach, a colonialistic approach, and go into countries um, with the objective of understanding everything in 1 week. No, that's absolutely wrong. One of the most important thing to do, even if the time is short, because the crisis has just started and you have no time to do that, but you must know the community you are supporting. So you need to build trust. You need to build a trust with the vulnerable groups to understand the better the situation and to inform the project, of course, the project proposal. And to do that, we are going to carry out, let's say, to have different methodologies, different tools. We are going to see that in the different days. By the end of the course, again, we are going to learn how to map stakeholders. This is also another important point, because when we arrive in one country where the emergency has just started, the most important thing, of course, besides knowing the community, is to know who is there, who is already there, and who is doing what and where. By stakeholders here, we do not mean only, let's say, the other NGOs, other associations, but a broad cluster of civil society organizations, institutions, um, community leaders, other NGOs, national and international NGOs. So mapping the stakeholders is fundamental, and there are tools, of course, designed also for that. And here, keyword is accountability. By the end of the course, we will be able to discuss and to understand and to properly deliver messages about accountability, because accountability is a keyword, and you you will be able to define it under different aspects, because we have to be accountable when we deliver assistance, not only towards our donors, towards the institution, but first of all towards the people which we are supporting. So it is important that we know that the communities that are there, the people affected by the crisis, we are accountable towards them. So it is extremely important also that the organization and the project that you will manage is set with a full package of instruments and tools for the accountability. And eventually we'll be able to draft core tools. So this means that we will sit together and we will discuss about the log frame, as I said before, the budget, the work plan, all together to present a coherent proposal. Now, let's talk about the program overview. We said 4 days. I'm sure you already had a look at the website where you have the entire program. So just to repeat more in details these 4 days which will expect us. Day one, from 2 to 6 p.m. We're going to talk about humanitarian PCM, project cycle management. We're going to talk about the stakeholder mapping, context and protection needs assessment, and will be an exercise. There will always be an exercise to practice what we said. In this session, the context and protection needs assessment part will be delivered by another person, by another colleague, INTERSOS colleague, which will join from abroad online. And it is extremely interesting because the guest will provide us with field lens, let's say, because guests are always on the field. So the guest for the day one will be most likely based in Tripoli, in Libya, and will guide us through the protection needs assessment. So we will see how the tool is developed, which resources are needed to conduct the assessment, and how to do the analysis to inform the project proposal, and so on. And the exercise towards the end of the day. The day two is full day. We'll start at 10 a.m. and we'll finish at 6 p.m. We're going to talk about coordination and response systems. We're going to talk about the cluster approach. There will be, of course, case studies, and there will be an exercise. In this day, day two, the cluster approach will be delivered by another guest. So here we are gonna see how the cluster approach that I was mentioning before actually works. Because you remember I mentioned we arrive in a country, we want to implement our activities, there is the humanitarian crisis going on, there is a lot of coordination to do. How do coordinate with all the other NGOs which are already present on the field? Through the cluster approach. So we're going to talk about it. We are going to see case studies and an exercise. Day three, from 10 to 6 again. This is an important day because we're going to discuss about the role of the project manager. So whether you have already experience or not, as a project manager or program manager or coordinators or officers, this is an important part because, the project manager, they do a lot of stuff. They do a lot of stuff. They have to take care about the implementation of the activities, the reporting, the relations with the donors, the coordination. So there is a lot going on, and it is important always to stay focused and to prioritize what we have to do. Therefore, we're going to focus in the morning on this specific part. Then we're going to discuss about the project life cycle. So let's say phase by phase, we are going to analyze the entire cycle of the project. We're going to discuss about the support departments, because just to give you let's say a small hint, the project is designed is part of the program department, sorry. But beside the program department, there are many other departments which support the program. Those are the support departments. And we are gonna see, because we're gonna see that later, because there are many support departments that help the structure. And one of these support departments will join us. We're gonna see whether it is from communication or logistics or administration or finance, based also on the availability of the colleagues. And we're gonna finish with an exercise. Day four, again, we are gonna discuss from ideas to the action. We're going to discuss about log frame, budget, work plan, and full simulation. And here it is important because I mean this is most practical part of the course, because we're gonna basically discuss and stay together in groups to simulate a project proposal development. So all together, then we are gonna discuss about the log frame, the budget, the work plan, and all the details related to the proposal. And let's go deep dive into the different days. So, what is a humanitarian project? So we're going to discuss about the definitions and the key elements of the project, meaning that we are going to see which are the elements which are part of the project, how to define according to the standards a project, and so on. Context analysis and needs assessment. As I said, here we're going to discuss about the tools which are used for context analysis and the protection needs assessment. There will be real examples, and a colleague will join us for the part of the protection needs assessment. We are going to focus then on the stakeholder mapping, donors, institution, communities, but also, as I said, civil society organizations, national and international NGOs, all the actors that are part of the humanitarian crisis. And the group exercise, we are going to identify the needs and the actors. We are going to practice about these points. Then day two. In the day two, we are gonna discuss about coordination and response systems. As I said before, it is important to understand national actors and international actors and how did they put in place their response systems. Because of course, we have to always to be compliant with the legal framework of the country we are working in. So it is important to better understand also some theoretical aspects related to the legislation of the country we work in. I mean, there is a lot of discuss in this point in this session. We are going to discuss also about our role, the role of the NGOs, but also that of the UN, of the authorities, and of the others. Cluster approach and humanitarian infrastructure. As I said before, we are going to discuss about cluster approach, meaning that we want to see how the clusters work, how do they communicate with each other, the humanitarian approach in general, who is the organization that is appointed for granting access to certain areas, who is the organization which is the focal point for technical support when it comes to aspects related to the prevention and the response of gender-based violence. The same goes for child protection, the same goes for health. I mean, there is a lot to discuss here, so we're going to see how the cluster approach and the humanitarian infrastructure work. Case studies, again, Ukraine and Libya, but not only, and group exercise. So building a response plan. Of course, we do not have enough time. There will take days to build a response plan, but we are gonna see how to build a basic one, meaning a response plan where we at least focus on the key priorities that we have to let's say to do to implement quality activities and assist the communities in the initial phase of the crisis. And then we have, as I said, one guest from another mission abroad, another INTERSOS mission about the cluster coordination to actually see in practical aspects how does this work. Day three. Project manager and life cycle. Here we're gonna see PM responsibilities in emergency projects, which are many, as I said. A project manager has to do a lot of stuff. Guys, I tell you, a lot of stuff, and it is important to stay focused, to know how to prioritize, to have certain skills that will for sure make the difference especially during the peak of the emergency. And we're going to discuss about that. Then the phases of the project cycle, meaning step by step from the beginning until the end of the project. We're going to see phase by phase the most important aspects and tools, of course, discussing about project or versus program. And a guest insight. Guest insight, as I mentioned earlier, is basically a colleague that will join us from a support department, meaning from finance, logistics, communications, or another department, we're going to see that, that will guide us through the amazing world of the communications and logistics and finance and grants units and MIL, monitoring, evaluation, learning, and accountability, which are all the departments. Without them, we cannot do basically anything. We could not implement our project, so which are part of the structure. And eventually, at the end of the day, there is a group exercise where we analyze the roles of the project manager and the risks in a certain scenario. Day four, from ideas to action, as I said before, in the day four is the day is completely dedicated to the exercise, meaning that in groups we are going to develop a project proposal from scratch, and it will be extremely important because that's the moment where we put in practice all that we have learned. So tools in the hands, we're gonna work about we're gonna work on the log frame, budget, work plans, but not only, also about reporting. We're gonna talk about communication, which is extremely important in project designing and implementation. In- Meaning that we're gonna have a full simulation. We're gonna build a project proposal from sketch with a final review in plenary and group feedback. So the methods and the pedagogy. I want to reassure that all the materials and all the examples are practitioner grade, meaning that are studied and are made to be accessible, to be understood in a simple way, but without losing the necessary concepts and aspects which are fundamental for our donors. And also, I want to reassure you that all the materials that we are going to share after the course are reusable, meaning that I don't know, it depends also on your experience if you already had kind of experience on the field, but it depends a lot on the donor. There are certain donors which use different tools, different templates, others which use other templates, and it's important for the organization also to standardize everything. So this is a discussion that we're going to do together because practical example, if you work with a donor such as an agency of the United Nations and you are a project manager for an agency of the United Nations, you will have certain tools. Your budget will be in a certain way, meaning that the columns and the cells of Excel will be structured in a certain way. If you are doing the same job but for Echo, for another donor, your template, your budget on Excel will be different. So imagine one mission working together in an emergency context, and there are three project managers, one doing implementing a job, implementing a project with one budget template, another with another budget template, and another with a third budget template. Three project managers using three different tools. This is what happened, guys. So there is the need for the supervisor of the three project managers to standardize these tools and to have one unique tool which summarizes everything in order to understand and to have a clear picture of all the projects, of course. And for this reason, there are templates which have been designed, which we are going to share with you, in order to understand how to report your budget lines in one unique template that will make your life simple. And then methods and pedagogy again, hands-on group work and simulation on the real scenarios. Of course, as I said before, one of the methods will be working groups, and another one will be simulation on real scenarios, meaning that I will take examples from other project managers working all around the world, from their project proposals, bringing you practical and real scenarios on which we will base the exercises. Peer learning during the working groups, it is always welcomed, of course, the exchange of the experiences, meaning that each person can share their own, of course, experience and view and comments to let's say to debate also together in a constructive way about the work of the project manager. And there will be plenary debriefs, because after the working groups we wanna report to the class what we have done together. And feedback loops, meaning that I will always provide feedback about what we have done during the exercises. Trainer coaching on tools, here, as we said before, logframe, budget, work plan, but not limited to that. And also, another thing that I want to emphasize here is that, as I said before, it is important always to remain focused on the reality, on the practical aspects, theory, but also reality. So take advantage also of the fact that during the course there will be tools and people, professionals with experience. Take advantage of that. This means that you are invited to do questions, to comments, to be proactive and active during the course, especially for those who will join online sessions. And what you get? You will get access to the 4 hybrid sessions, meaning that, as I just said, sessions will be held in person, but also online. If you have the chance to join us in Rome at INTERSOS headquarters, um, you are most welcomed. So you can follow the course in person. Otherwise, it's possible also to follow the classes online. And you will get the exercises and the simulation of the templates that you can, of course, reuse. And so let's proceed, because it's already 6:40. About the scenarios, guys, as I said before, it's Ukraine and Libya, the countries we are gonna focus most of the time, but not limited to those. We are going to discuss also about other countries. Of course, discussions about these 2 examples, these two countries will take most of the time, because in acute emergencies, Ukraine, beginning of the year, early 2022, humanitarian projects dominate the scenarios, and it is the largest displacement in Europe since World War II, as we say in the slide. We, as INTERSOS, I still remember I actually was working at that time in Italy, managing a project about migration, but in Italy. Um, we received, I and another colleague, a call by the head of mission by saying, we need to go. We need to bring all the medical clinics through the Balkans, to the borders in Moldova. So we're gonna discuss about it, because there is a lot to say, and the needs, the immediate needs, um, again, in an acute phase, in the peak of the crisis, are many. We have protection needs, information needs, documentation, accommodation needs. So, and you do not have the resources. And this is also another important point, that it is true. I drove the mobile clinic for 2 days through the Balkans to the borders in Moldova. but you are under resources because it is like this. In practically speaking, at the beginning of a crisis, you are setting up your projects, right? You are understanding the context, as we said before, right? And you are there. You are not alone because, of course, there are colleagues from other departments that join you. But again, we do not have enough time to do everything. And again, the needs are extremely high. Protection needs, meaning vulnerable women, mothers, children. Information, needs of information, meaning that people joining, arriving at the borders, they do not have information, they do not know what to do, they do not know where to ask for a specific service. Again, documentation, because families arriving may not have their documentation, say they may need legal support. So the same goes for the accommodation. They do not know how and where to stay. So the needs at the very beginning are many, are high. We're going to talk about it. And you have to assess everything. So you there with your limited resources until, of course, until your project is funded by the donors, you are here with very limited resources. So you have to be smart and super focused on the priorities in order to inform a rapid response. This is Ukraine. We're going to discuss about it, comparing it also to Libya, because Libya is another context. Libya is a protracted crisis. The complex is very context. The context is very complex. There is a conflict going on. There are migration flows and humanitarian corridors also done by some agencies, United Nations agencies. The institutions are fragile. I mean, there are many aspects that you have to know very well. And there also, I don't know if you have already experiences in that, but we talk a lot about the humanitarian development peace nexus, the HDP nexus. We are going to discuss about the nexus because also donors and internal policies increasingly expect projects to contribute not only to the relief, but also to build resilience and systemic change. What I'm saying, practically speaking, is that in a context such as Libya or such as Iraq, where the crisis is long term, is protracted, you cannot have the same approach, you cannot have the same project that you of course have in Ukraine. So also the project cycle management is totally different, and that has to be reflected in your project proposal and when you implement your activities. This is why we're going to compare these two countries and we're going to discuss about it. So, format, dates, price, and logistics. The dates of the course are 21, 24 October 2025. The format is hybrid, so this means that you can join in person, as I said, at INTERSOS HQ in Rome, or online. The daily timetable might change a bit, but just when it comes to the guest of the second day regarding the support departments. But the program is that you will find on the INTERSOS web page. The price is 450 euros, and by the end of the course, of course, you will have all the tools, the materials that we have been studying during the 4 days. The next steps, if you are interested and you want to participate, is to register on the INTERSOS web page, and the seats are limited. So, of course, the soon the better, because the slots are almost full, and then there will be another session of the course, but most likely next year. And if you have any kind of question, you can reach me at this email address here. I will put it later when we will do the Q&A session, or also through the form on the course page. There is a web form. You can submit your questions, and Focal Points will reply you and will tell you everything you need to know. Q&A now is yes, we are on time. You have any question or any observation? I don't know, I'm here.
Ciao Cosimo, hello everyone. I would like to ask you, but for those who live in Rome, is it possible to attend in person for the entire days?
Yes. Who's talking? Because I cannot see. Martina?
Sì, sono io.
Okay. Yes, Martina, yes, it is possible. If you're in Rome, you can join us at the headquarters of INTERSOS, and there will be a dedicated room just for the course. So that is possible only. I mean, if you are free only for 2 days, let's say, and you can join in person, and the other 2 days you want to join online, that's possible also, according to your needs.
Ok, perfect. Thank you. Grazie
Of
mille.
course. Prego. Any other question, guys? I know that I said many information today, but in any case, you will find all the other information on the website. So if something is not clear, it's all written on the website, and you can always reach me at email, the email address you can see here on the screen, or again on the online form. And also, no, nothing. All is covered. Guys, if you don't have any questions, I will stop the webinar here. Thanks a lot for the attention, for your participation, and especially for your interest in the course. I will close, let's say, this presentation by saying what I said at the beginning, that INTERSOS is an organization committed in being at the front line in the emergencies. So when we developed the contents of this course, we wanted to do something practical, something that you guys can actually put your hands in. So we will use different tools. We will be using, of course, the Microsoft package, Excel, a bit of Excel, a bit of Word. There are also other courses that will be planned also maybe in the future about the AI, how AI can fit into project cycle management, because you will see we will use that during the 4 days, also because it's an instrument that will help us a lot. And so in case you will decide to subscribe to enroll to the course, bring your laptop, possibly, and also smartphones, because we are going to see a couple of tools that are used especially for data collection, which will require the smartphone. So I will try to put everything on the laptop, so we have one unique tool for everything. But in case you're interested, we're gonna enroll, bring laptop and smartphone. And guys, from my side, this is it. If you don't have any other question, thanks for joining us, and I hope to see you in Rome.
Sorry, Cosimo. First of all, thank you very, very much for this insightful presentation. I have one question because you said like the spots are filling up very, very quickly, and we are now, I think, 4 here in the presentation. So is it enough space for 4, or is it like that we really should hurry up?
Is Yolanda talking, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I honestly do not have the list of the people that already subscribed, so I refer to the coordinator, which of course told me because there are limited seats. Now I don't know exactly how many.
Mm.
I cannot tell you that, but yes, if you're interested, of course, and you want to have more information about some specific sessions, let us know if that can help you deciding whether to subscribe or not. But as far as I know, there are slots, there are available slots. Not that many because we reached, I think, about 10 people, but there are slots.
Okay, and how many will be in total there? Is it depending a bit how many people are online and
It also depends on the people that will join in person, but the maximum number of people that, in order also to have fruitful discussions and to allow everybody to participate in the proper way, no more than 12, 13 people. I think, also from the trainer point of view, let's say, because
yeah.
it's better not to have a large class because otherwise you start confusing and missing pieces, you know?
Okay, I see.
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course. Okay, guys, we have 5 minutes more if there is one last question. Otherwise, I will tell you, enjoy your weekend, and for anything, please reach out. Do not hesitate. Then, perfect. See you, hopefully, and take care.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye. See you.